Hi everybody, and welcome to my channel, Spanish Pills, the best YouTube channel to learn to speak Spanish. Hola a todos y a todas, valientes amantes del español, y bienvenidos a mi canal Spanish Pills, el mejor canal de YouTube para aprender a hablar español. Here you have 100 new phrases for you to keep learning more and more Spanish and having a lot of fun too, I hope. Aquí tenéis 100 nuevas frases en español para que sigáis aprendiendo y practicando. Learning a new language is always a big challenge, un gran reto, and Spanish is a very difficult one. That's why I think you are all very brave, muy valientes. And it makes me very happy and honored that you've chosen me to help you through this amazing adventure, esta apasionante aventura. As you can see, the name of the video is 100 Basic Spanish Phrases, so that's what you're gonna find here. Not only have I used single phrases, but also some brief fragments from short everyday life conversations that can help you to practice how to talk in real life. Conversar, that's how we call it in Spanish. At the end of the video, for those of you who have been learning Spanish for a while already, I've also included a few advanced phrases. But those of you who are beginning to learn Spanish for the first time, don't be shy, no seáis tímidos, and stay until the end. I'm sure you can use many of those advanced phrases, really useful too. Muy útiles, ya veréis. So, ¿estáis preparados para aprender mucho español en este vídeo? ¿Sí? Maravilloso. Wonderful. 3, 2, 1. Comenzamos. Before I forget, as I always tell you, you should pause the video and repeat after me each phrase at least 3 times, okay? Well, let's start with some greetings. This is very informal, so this is the way you would talk to your friends and family, okay? Primera frase. Hola, ¿qué tal todo? And you could get a very positive answer like, pues genial, la verdad. And how would you answer to that? Something like, me alegro mucho por ti, for instance. Okay, let's try again. Like before, a very informal tone. You're talking to your friends, your family, okay? Oye, ¿cómo te va todo? But this time things are not going very well, so they would tell you something like, pues no muy bien, la verdad. And maybe they would ask you about how you're doing. So they would tell you something like, ¿y a ti? ¿Cómo te va? And if you want to say that things are great, you would say, pues genial. Another way of asking someone how they are doing. But if you pick this one, in a way, you already know that things are not pretty well, okay? ¿Y tú? ¿Cómo andas? And now let's see a few examples of how to express that things are not really that good, okay? First one, pues como siempre. Another way would be, pues más o menos. Pues regular. If someone tells you this, believe me, things are not going well at all. Regular in Spanish has very negative connotations. Pues voy tirando. I couldn't translate this phrase into English because it's an expression that we use a lot in Spanish, but I don't really know how to say this in English. It means that things are not good at all, but you're still trying. You haven't given up yet, okay? You're doing your best, but things are pretty awful. Okay, now let's try something different. You know these situations where you know that someone is not doing well because of whatever, and you don't know how to break the ice, and you ask them, ¿Te encuentras bien? But you already know that they are not feeling okay. In English, they would probably tell you something like, not really. But in Spanish, you would say, or they would say, no mucho. No mucho. Maybe it's one of those situations where there are no magic words that can make things better. So the only thing you can do, the only thing you can say is lo siento mucho. Or maybe you don't know, but there's something you can do so you can offer your help. ¿Hay algo que pueda hacer? Okay, and now let's see how to be a good friend in Spanish. Let's see a few phrases where you can show your help, where you can show your support, where you can be positive, like, ¿Cómo puedo ayudarte? You can also tell them, no te preocupes. You can be very positive by saying, todo va a salir bien. More positive things to say. Todo se arreglará. Now, let's practice some introductions. María, este es mi padre, Paco. Let's try another one. Estos son mis padres, Manuel y Ana. This is a more formal way of introducing someone. María, me gustaría que conocieras a mi padre, Paco. Another possibility could be, me gustaría presentarte a mis padres, Manuel y Ana. And what can you say in a situation like this? Encantado or encantada. Remember, you are referring to yourself. You are the one who is glad or happy to meet someone else. So the gender, it has to be yours. If you're male, encantado. If you're a female, encantada. And they would probably say something in return like lo mismo or lo mismo digo. And now let's share impressions about the people you've just met. Like, for instance, qué simpático es tu padre. Or you just can say, tus padres me caen muy bien. Or maybe just try something like, qué amables son tus padres. Y ahora let's practice a little bit with a brief fragment from a short conversation about pets, mascotas, gatos and perros, cats and dogs. ¿Te gustan los perros? Notice that in English you say do you like dogs, not do you like the dogs, but in Spanish, don't forget, never forget to use the definite article before the noun. You cannot say te gustan perros. That's wrong. Te gustan los perros. Great answer. Me encantan los perros. Once again, in English, I love dogs, not I love the dogs. But in Spanish, you have to say los perros. Don't say me encantan perros. Me encantan los perros. That's why you have to learn the gender of every noun, okay? ¿Prefieres los gatos o los perros? Once again, notice the importance of the definite article, los gatos o los perros in Spanish. In English, you say cats or dogs, but in Spanish, you need to say los gatos o los perros. And if you don't want to choose, you can just say me gustan los dos. You could also say son excelentes mascotas. And what if you have a dog? Well, you just say yo tengo un perro. And since we're kind of faking a sort of conversation, the other person could tell you de pequeña or de pequeño, tuve un perro, pero enfermó y murió. And even though it's a very sad memory they are sharing with you, they could also add something like, fue hace mucho tiempo, pero todavía lo echo de menos. And trying to show some respect and obviously sharing their loss, you could ask, ¿cómo se llamaba tu perro? Se llamaba Chuck. Notice how we've used the imperfect in both sentences, the previous one and this one. ¿Cómo se llamaba tu perro? Se llamaba Chuck. We don't use the preterite. ¿Cómo se llamó tu perro? Se llamó Chuck. That's wrong. Whenever you want to translate what was his or her name, you use the imperfect. Okay? And now getting back to the present, the other person could ask you about your dog's name. ¿Cómo se llama tu perro? And pay attention to this. We've been using the pronoun se whenever we've asked about anyone's name, right? Because the verb llamarse is a reflexive one. And when we have a reflexive verb in Spanish, we always need a reflexive pronoun. Se llama Max y es un pastor alemán. You could tell them his name and also his breed. A German Shepherd, un pastor alemán. By the way, breed means raza in Spanish. And what else could you be asked about your dog? Maybe, ¿cuántos años tiene? And what if you don't know for sure? Well, you could say, no estoy seguro or segura. And you would probably have to explain why you don't know your dog's age, right? So maybe you could say something like, lo adopté hace 3 años. And maybe when you adopted him, you weren't told about his age. So that could be an explanation why you don't know exactly how old he is. But you could tell things that you do know about him, like, es un poco travieso, pero es muy obediente. And the person you're talking to about your dog could tell you, qué suerte. I mean, how lucky you are that you have such a nice dog, something like that. And you could say something like, sí, tengo mucha suerte. Notice how in English you say, I'm very lucky. That could be translated as soy muy afortunado or afortunada, but we usually translate it as tener suerte. Tengo suerte, I am lucky. Okay, now the conversation about the dog is over, so move on. Let's try something different. ¿Cuál te gusta más? Let's add more information to the question. ¿Cuál te gusta más? ¿El rojo o el azul? And once again, be extra careful with the gender thing because the red one or the blue one can be translated either as el rojo or la roja, el azul or la azul. It depends on what I am making allusion to. if I refer to la mesa roja or el lápiz rojo, la caja azul or el coche azul. And just one more thing. Azul is an adjective that is the same for the feminine and for the masculine. Okay? And now pay attention to this, because the question is completely different. I've asked you which one do you like better, and I am asking you which one do you like best. And the question in Spanish is, ¿cuál es el que más te gusta? Or, ¿cuál es la que más te gusta? Once again, the gender thing. If we are talking about cars, coches, car, coche, in Spanish is masculine, so it would be ¿cuál es el que más te gusta? But if we are talking about flowers, flores, flor, flores, is feminine in Spanish, so it would be ¿cuál es la que más te gusta? Don't worry, I will try to make a video about this, just about this. But the answer, me gusta más el rojo que el azul, pero el que más me gusta es el blanco. Different topic. Otro tema diferente. Lo siento, no sabía que eras alérgica o alérgico al marisco. And by the way, did you know that, or I didn't know that, we always use the imperfect. ¿Sabías que, or no sabía que? Another one. No sabía que eras vegano or vegana. Like I just told you, use the imperfect, never the preterite. And just in case you're a vegan, this is how you explain in Spanish what you don't eat. No como ni carne, ni pescado, ni huevos, ni lácteos, ni queso. Now let's practice how to have a short conversation in Spanish. ¿Te apetece salir a cenar fuera? Kinda interesting. Interesante, ¿verdad? Let's see how it goes. ¿Me estás pidiendo una cita? Straight to the point. I like her. Directa al grano. Me gusta. Solo si dices que sí. And notice how we use a lot the word que. In English you say only if you say yes. In Spanish, solo si dices que sí. Que sí. Don't forget to say que sí. Hoy no estoy con ánimos. Come on. Vaya por Dios. Okay, notice the expression to be up for something in Spanish is estar con ánimos. When you feel, well, in this case it's in the negative, so it would be that you don't feel like doing something. ¿Podemos dejarlo para otro momento? I really like this one because in English you say to take a rain check, and in Spanish you just have to explain what you mean. Okay, to take a rain check means that you can try it another time, maybe something like that. So in Spanish, this is a tip I want to share with you. Most of the times in Spanish we explain what we mean. Most of our expressions are just explanations. And this is something very useful if you're learning any language. Whenever you don't know a word, just try to explain what you mean, okay? It always works, trust me. Claro, perfect answer. It could also be por supuesto, but that's more formal. Claro is very informal. Now let's find out why she can't go out. What's going on here? No me encuentro muy bien. Notice that in English you're using the present continuous, but in Spanish we use the simple present. No me encuentro muy bien. Anoche no pegué ojo. Maybe this is the reason why she isn't feeling well right now, because she couldn't sleep at all last night. Have you ever heard the expression pegar ojo? Pegar ojo would be like a word-by-word translation, as if your eyes couldn't close or couldn't, like, to be glued. You understand what I mean? They were open all night long. Obviamente, anoche dormí fatal. I had a bad night's sleep. Dormí fatal. Fatal. And one of the reasons why I couldn't sleep at all is because me duele mucho la garganta. Besides, además, tengo tos y un poco de fiebre. And what can you say in a situation like this? ¿Tienes jarabe para la tos? Sí, me lo acabo de tomar. También me voy a tomar una infusión de jengibre con miel. In one of my videos, the one about cooking verbs, I explained this, but just in case you haven't watched it, I'm gonna explain it again. In Spanish, if you don't put tea, you don't call it a tea, you call it una infusión. A ginger tea without tea, in Spanish, infusión de jengibre. If you put tea, you would say un té de jengibre. Buena idea. Y probablemente un par de pastillas para dormir. And what can they tell you? Maybe something like, necesitas descansar. And if they really want to show how much they care about you, they could say something like, mañana me paso por tu casa para ver qué tal estás. Te lo agradezco mucho. And when you're lucky enough to have someone who takes such good care of you, you should tell them. So, eres siempre tan bueno conmigo, no te merezco. Que duermas bien. Sleep tight. That's how we say it in Spanish. Que duermas bien. Okay, so the conversation is over. Now, let's pay attention to these last few Spanish phrases that I've prepared for you. As I told you before, some of them are for advanced Spanish speakers and some of them are for beginners. So don't panic. Just don't be shy. Try to listen to them and maybe you can start using them, okay? The first one, ten paciencia. Be patient. Notice how in English you use the verb to be plus an adjective, and in Spanish we use the verb to have plus a noun. Ten paciencia. This one is very useful, you'll see, because when you're learning a new language, many times, many things make no sense. So, no tiene sentido. How much I love English. Just 4 words, day in, day out. And how many words do we have to use in Spanish to say the same thing? Un día sí y el otro también. This is a good example of how in Spanish we always try to explain what we mean, okay? Get used to that. This is an easy one. Don't worry, be happy. No te preocupes. Sé feliz. Te juro que fue sin querer. Sin querer means an honest mistake. And what does it mean? It means that I didn't do it intentionally, that it was not my intention to do that, okay? Sin querer. I didn't want to do it. It just happened. It was an accident or something like that. I'm once again explaining what I mean. This one, against all odds, is shorter in Spanish. Resumiendo. This one makes more sense in English than in Spanish. I don't know why we say it like that, but de tal palo, tal astilla. Palo means a stick, and astilla, splinter. So, yeah, like father, like son. I don't know. This one is a bit weird in both languages, I think. Eso es agua pasada. Only the water thing, I don't see any connection here, but that's how we say it. Ya iba siendo hora. It was about time. Esta es muy fácil. Por fin. Finally. A esta invito yo. Y así, sin más. And just like that. This one is a very good one to learn and to put into practice. Siempre mira el lado positivo. Once again, this is one of those expressions that you have to explain what you mean. A win-win situation, todos salimos ganando. 2 words in English, 6 words in Spanish. And once again, explain what you mean. At best, en el mejor de los casos. And now the opposite. In Spanish, just the same. We only changed the adjective. Mejor, the opposite, peor. En el peor de los casos. Del revés. Inside out. Otra fácil y muy útil. Definitivamente sí. The opposite. Definitivamente no. Now let's try to be more flexible. Puede que sí. And the opposite. Puede que no. Only 4 more. Eso espero. In English, it's the same, I hope so, but there are 2 ways of saying it in Spanish. Eso espero or espero que sí. And the opposite. Espero que no. Y por fin llegamos al final. Última frase. Se acabó el tiempo. Time's up. Thanks for watching. Remember, like and subscribe. Hasta pronto. Adiós.